All right, guys. Welcome to day 20. This is day 20 of 21 for the 21-day KDP challenge. For those of you here that are joining us live, as I mentioned earlier, I just want to say thank you. We appreciate you guys showing up every single day. We have 163 people here. That's pretty impressive, and I know that number is gonna grow. Unfortunately, we weren't able to stream live to Facebook. It's just periodically Zoom and Facebook do not agree. I think Facebook's been doing a lot of updates too because we've had more problems this time than we did last time. So we'll have a replay up fairly shortly. I'll let this process and then send it over. It may actually, it may not come over to this afternoon because I have to leave right after this. But anyways, get ready. I'm going to throw a lot of information at you guys. This is the kind of thing that it's just, there are a lot of different moving pieces that go into this. For beginners, my advice to you guys would be, do not try to just take everything in and understand everything right now, right? Like, just try and make yourself familiar with it. Try and take notes where it makes sense. Just listen to it. Let it absorb. This is the thing, though, that can make a massive difference in your business if you take the time to learn it and take the time to actually incorporate the practices that I'm talking about. So we're going to talk a lot about principles. We're going to talk a lot about things that are foundational. We are also going to talk about strategy. What we're not going to do is we're not going to dive into individual ad campaigns and dissect them, because I find it doesn't really give a whole lot of value over the course of what we're trying to do. It's more important for you guys to understand the principles and the reasons we make these decisions than looking over an ad campaign and seeing why I would do a certain thing in that situation. Trust me, I've gone through this a bunch. I've taught people how to do this. This is the stuff that I want you to focus on, because when you incorporate these principles, it allows you to make much better decisions. Also, what you're going to learn too is these principles are something that you can expand on any kind of advertising platform. It's not necessarily just an AMS thing. When you're doing pay-per-click advertising or any kind of marketing, these are things that you should be thinking about. So, you ready? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. This is actually I like talking about stuff like this. It's pretty fun. Understanding what's going on and figuring out why you're making sales and etc.
Yeah. Also, just to let you guys know, we're going to go very fast, very rapid fire. Q&A is probably not going to get a ton of questions today. Put most of those questions in the daily thread, just because we have a lot of ground to cover and I don't want to stop. I want to make sure that I can get you guys as much information as possible.
Yeah, there's a lot. So be ready.
There's a lot. So, all right. Share my screen. Let's get into it. Come on, Zoom. There we go.
I'll be answering the Q&A as fast as possible, guys. So
okay, so real quick, we're going to go over how to get here. So this is my dashboard, right? And you can see a couple of our coloring books here. In KDP, if you click on that little button right there, go to promote and advertise. Ad campaign.
I've been waiting to see this for the longest time too, guys. So
yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to sign in, but it brings you to this where you choose your campaign type. You're going to want to choose sponsored products. Lock screen ads are more for digital stuff for Kindle books. It shows up on the Kindle reader. I don't foresee those being the kind of thing that you're going to be able to test it if you want. I just don't see them being the kind of thing that's going to convert very well, just because I own a Kindle and I know I've never looked at one of those ads. I literally just swipe up to open it up. So you want to choose sponsored products. And then here's how you create your campaign. We'll go over all that stuff in a little bit, but I wanted to show you guys how to get there. Also, the other question that I get a lot, and we'll cover this in the talk, is how do you get to the reporting? So they recently updated their dashboard. It's actually a lot better than it used to be. Mouse over to the side over here. You can see a thing where you can have user management, billing and payments, reports, campaigns. Reports here, this is going to be your best friend. You're going to want to spend some time here. This is the thing that is going to set aside people that have success and those that don't have success. So, oh yeah, and in terms of the covers, guys, those are not my covers. Those are my wife's covers. Aaron's the graphic talent, the design talent, not me. So.
Also, yeah, guys, you want to get that dashboard that matches to that. You guys want to get used to that, understand what's going on, learn what you're doing in there, get comfortable really fast. Very important that you get comfortable in there really fast. You own that. That's you. You know what I mean? So understand what you're doing.
Spend time there. spend time there. Like it's going to be unfamiliar. It's going to be something that you have to spend time in. All right. So we're going to start off going through the 6 paid ad principles. These are fundamentals of pay-per-click. Like I said, these are fundamentals. These are the kind of things that you can use in any ad platform. So whether it is Facebook ads, Google ads, Etsy, promoted listings, whatever it is, right? So this is the kind of stuff that you should be thinking about in terms of making decisions on those ad platforms. So I'm going to go over this very quickly. Ad money mindset. Okay. So this is what I call the mindset you need to have as you start to run ads. And this is something that a lot of people struggle with. Most people don't hesitate to spend hundreds on dinner with friends and family, yet can't stomach the idea of spending on ads without an immediate return. You have to realize you're investing in data and insight, right? So people look at ads as like binary. So I spend money and I either win or I lose. And that's not the case. If you are willing to like go invest money in having a great night out or going to the bar and spending that money, where you get nothing back in return, right, other than the experience, with ads, you have to realize that you're investing in data and insight. So regardless of whether you have a successful sale, regardless of whether the ad is profitable, you're actually going to get data and insight back from Amazon. And it's one of the few places that you can actually get that data, right? Because on our KDP dashboard, it's all binary. It's either we got a sale or we didn't. If you're running ads, you can actually see what people are looking at. You can see the search terms people are using. You can actually understand what are the words that people are using to find your books, or to find your merch shirts, or to find whatever you're doing, right? Same thing with Etsy, right? On promoted listings, you can use that data to figure out, okay, they found my item for this search term. I don't have that search term in my store. I can use that to create more stuff, right? Like, whether you get a sale or not, you are still getting back data that you wouldn't have otherwise. And you have to embrace that. You have to understand that a successful ad is more than just being profitable.
Yeah. You're paying for the, like you said, you're paying for the data. That's like giving you the information back. Like you wouldn't have known that if you didn't pay for it. So understand that too.
Correct. So paid ad principle number 2, you must test. And if you've been around for a little while with me and RJ, like you will see us say this all the time. It's probably like the second most common thing that we say, other than it depends. It's like, you must test, you must test, you must test. Testing is key in any e-commerce business. Test, test, test. We are not making emotional decisions with our ads. Be patient. Okay. So I know it is like, especially if you're brand new to the ad game, like you want to go in and check it every single day because you want to see what happened. The thing you have to realize with AMS and with Amazon advertising, there is a delay in the data, and it's really annoying, and it kind of pisses me off. And I'm hoping as they grow that they're going to change out of this, because quite frankly, like a lot of money is starting to be spent on Amazon advertising, and this delay is literally only built into the system because they want you to spend more money. They want to make the data a little bit fuzzy, so you spend longer when you should be getting feedback. So it is what it is, and we have to deal with it, but you can take up to 72 hours to get that data back from Amazon. So we need to be patient. We need to let the algorithm do its job. We need to let it learn. We need to let it run, because we're going to systematically identify, keep, and scale what's working and cut the rest. Okay. And notice the key word right there, systematically. This is a system that I'm going to be teaching you guys. This is not something that like we randomly do. We don't randomly go in and make decisions. There's data behind all of our decisions, and we depend on the data. We look at the data. We don't depend on feel.
Yeah. No, that's another thing too. Me and Matt talk about is like that's what pisses us off the most. That the tracking on Amazon fucking sucks. It's horrible. Mm-hmm. So it irritates us. So
yeah, it just like if you deal with any other ad platform, you realize that like there's no excuse for them not to give us that data right away. Like they have the data, they can give it to us right away. They're stretching it out to force you to pay more money. It is what it is. That's the game. So we just have to deal with it. Paid ad principle number 3, targeting is everything. Okay. Targeting is everything. Making sure that you're aiming at the right target, making sure that you're not too wide, making sure that you actually have the right terms in there. When it comes to KDP, like this goes back to our research, right? Like going through and doing our research, making sure that our keywords are right, making sure that we're not too broad, making sure that we are very exact in what we're doing. Great Amazon listings make a massive difference. An awesome message designed to the right audience will not work. You craft a message and offer that is congruent with what the target buyer wants. Your sales message doesn't have to be that great to work if you have the right message to market match targeting. Okay, so let's go over that really, really quickly. Okay, you don't necessarily have to have the best description in your KDP book to sell the book if it's put in front of the right person, right? If you're solving that need for the person, if you put it in front of the right person and they're looking and ready to buy. So your sales message, whatever is in the description, or for example, like in KDP ads, you can actually include a little marketing blurb in the ad. It doesn't have to be this amazing piece of copy to work if you get the right message to your market, okay? If you get the right book to your market, if you make sure that like when somebody is looking for a teacher planner, that they get a teacher planner. They're not getting a unicorn coloring book, right? Like, this is why it's so important to make sure that your keywords in your back end are very targeted and they are not something that is spammy. They're not something that is keyword stuffed. Okay, paid ad principle number 4. You win on the back end, okay? And this is something that like I've only realized more over time. Like I've always believed in it, but God, it is so right when you do this the right way. When you're willing to invest in your business and when you're willing to pay on the front end to get those sales. So you win on the back end. Ultimately, the business that can spend the most to acquire a customer wins. We're not just making sales, we're bringing customers into our system. In the case of KDP or merch, we're bringing customers into our system by boosting organic ranks with our PPC. Okay. So the thing with KDP and the thing with merch also to a certain extent is the way that you're going to win is not necessarily by like running ads and hoping to be massively profitable off of those ads. What we're doing with those ads is we're using them to boost our organic ranking and to get our books or to get our shirts to rank higher in search so that when people search for things, our stuff is on the front page. Our stuff is showing up in front of them because on Amazon, organic is everything. Like we've tested this exhaustively. Like if you can get your stuff to the first page, it will totally spin up the flywheel and you'll make way more sales because people don't have to search. People are lazy, right? They go to Amazon, they type it in the search bar, they look at the first page. They're not going any further than that. You win on the back end. So you have to treat this as an investment, especially on KDP. Like I'll go into this a little bit deeper when we get into the system side of things, but do not expect to run your ads and be massively profitable. I would encourage you guys to treat them as an investment and hope to run your ads to basically boost your sales, get them going, get them launched, and boost your organic ranking.
Yeah, because once you get that organic ranking going and you're on the front page, dude, there's like me and Matt had a few, like we have a lot of products already on the front page, but they just take off. You don't understand how much traffic is on that front page for a general keyword. Like
this is the backbone of my business, right? So like, yeah, I've been pretty public about this. I don't do a lot on merch in terms of uploading, but I do stuff with AMS, right? And this is how I consistently get shirts that are in the top, 5 to 20K BSR whenever one of the seasonal holidays come around. Like this is how I had a Christmas shirt last year that went to like 5K BSR. It was just AMS, understanding how to use the system to boost my organic rank, to get things spun up in the algorithm, and then let that just take over and bring in just a ton of sales.
Yeah, and also too, Amazon is like very like with the sales history. They see that you were like ranking on the front page, and they kind of keep you there next time around, as long as they don't throttle your stuff and mess it all up.
So know your buyer. Okay, this is paid ad principle number 5. Market research is vital, right? And you guys should have heard this message from us over and over and over again. We cannot create desire. We project existing desire onto our products. So remember the Collier principle. Always enter the conversation already happening in your prospect's mind. So this is something that foreign sellers struggle with. We've seen it a little bit in this challenge itself, or U.S. sellers on, for example, the German markets. Speak in the same style and conversation as your customer. So when we're creating our copy for our ads, right, we want to make sure we're using any kind of keywords that we've identified that would make it seem like we are part of that group. We are part of that conversation. Make sure that your marketing is done in a style that is going to make sense to the person that you're selling to. Make sure that your grammar is correct. Make sure that it speaks in a conversational manner, not necessarily using Google Translate to put it into like the German market, for example. All right, so this is tip number 6, and this is something that a lot of people struggle with. Everybody wants to tinker with things. Let the algorithm do the heavy lifting. The algorithm is smarter than we are.
Mm-hmm.
Establish a set time frame to examine and optimize your ads. Don't mess with your ads too soon. Give the algorithm tons of options, let it work, cut the losers, scale the winners. We are going to get into that very heavily when we get into the system, but essentially, have a system in place for how you do this stuff. Don't try and pick before you guys, don't try and pick what your winners are going to be before you know. Like, let the algorithm decide this stuff, because it's better than you are at putting it in front of the right people that are going to actually buy the stuff. This is true with Facebook ads. This is true with Etsy. This is true with KDP. This is true with merch. Let the algorithm do the work.
Yeah, also too, just like you guys kind of see, like, get a system in place with everything, pretty much with everything you do. That way you can have a better understanding of everything when you're working on everything at once, because there's so much you could be working on right now. Yeah. And just having a system in place, like with your workflow, is make a big impact on your business.
All right, so let's get into this. Let's get into the actual system. All right. Hey. All right, so AMS for KDP, using AMS to launch and rank in 2019. Purpose of ads on Amazon. Okay, so it's important to understand the purpose for why you're running an ad. So on Amazon, we have the ability to have two different purposes, and it's really important to understand and have that in your mind, because it's going to change the way that you bid on things. It's going to change the way that you run your ads. So you have two purposes. You can increase visibility or increase page rank, or you can run for conversions. So increasing visibility, that is getting it higher up the page, getting it higher up, closer to page one, to the top of page one, or for conversion. So running it for profitability. So the thing you have to realize with KDP, our margins are very, very small. Like typical margin on book is somewhere in the neighborhood of around $2. It becomes very difficult to run an ad that is going to be massively profitable when your margin is that small. So my belief, and I've tested this exhaustively, like I've done both, I've tried to do both. You make way more money when you focus on increasing visibility and increasing rank than you do when you focus on conversions. We're going to get into that and how you do that. All right, AMS product types. I'm going to give you the complete overview. These are not all available on KDP. So for example, on KDP, we just have sponsored products, or we have the lock screen ads, the Kindle e-reader ads. Like I said, I personally would not run for the lock screen ads. You guys are welcome to test it. I don't think it's worth your time. On merch, we also have the headline search ad or sponsored brand ads, what they're called now, and product display ads. We're not going to get into any of that stuff. We're just going to focus on sponsored products. Sponsored products are the meat. Like, that is where you're going to make your money. All right. So just as a quick overview, and so you guys understand, they are not meant to be used separately. I know we have a lot of people that do merch here. This is the only part where I'm really going to go over this, but I am going to cover it just so you guys know. So what the fuck does that mean? They all have a purpose. Don't skip steps and go, fuck it, let's make a headline search ad. And I use the cursing for a reason, because I want to get it across to you guys. Like, this is a system. Like, don't jump around. Don't do things randomly. They have a purpose, okay? So headline search ads, product display ads, those are used for scaling out your business and scaling out winners. They're not used because you randomly decide you want to go do it, okay? So that's all I'm going to get into right here, because we are here for KDP, not merch, but I want to make sure that you guys aren't making costly mistakes down the road.
I said you sound like that workout book.
Hey, man. Sometimes you got to get your point across.
Yeah.
All right. So sponsored product ads. We have two types. We have automatic ads. Amazon's algorithm is going to match the product for you. Or we have manual ads, where we bid on keywords that you provide to AMS. All right. So sponsored product automatic ads. These are the wide edge of the funnel. These are the widest portion of your bidding. You use these for keyword discovery. You use them to test ASINs for scale. Okay. And what I mean by keyword discovery is not to find keywords. What you're using is you're using it to find the keywords that are going to be profitable for you to bid on later, as you guys are testing your different books and seeing how you want to scale. Should I run ads to every ASIN? Like, this is literally the most common question that we get. And this goes back to like the ideas that we've been talking about in this course, right? Like, focus on quality over quantity. Don't just spam the products, right? Personally, like, every single thing that we upload, and you guys saw, like, those of you guys that were on a little bit earlier and you guys saw the covers that were there for our KDP books, like, every single thing that we do is focused on quality. We want it to be the best that it can be within that niche. So I run ads to everything. I literally run ads to everything, because the product that I'm putting up is fucking good. Like, it's really, really good. I want to make sure that I'm testing this stuff and giving it the best chance possible to make me money.
Yeah, that's a lot of people are saying too as well. Like, quality or quantity or whatever it is.
They don't have to be mutually exclusive either. Like, when you like, you have the ability to do quality at scale. but don't just spam. Like, make sure that you're doing this properly. Okay. So caveat, or how I think about merch in 2019. This is also the same with KDP. Great designs. Okay. This is the stuff we've been talking about in the challenge. Great designs. Don't throw shit against the wall. Research, because you need to convert. Like, you need to make sure that the stuff that you're spending money on, if you're gonna run advertising, you need to make sure that it has a good chance to sell. The biggest single ranking factor for a keyword, so the biggest single ranking factor for ranking for girls composition notebook, is sales. Like, so this is one of those things that if you want to get sales and you want to do well on something, like, merch works like a flywheel, KDP works like a flywheel, Amazon works like a flywheel. The more that you sell, the more that Amazon realizes this is something I should show more because it's converting really well. And the more Amazon pushes it up the page, and then the more that you sell. It's the virtuous cycle. So we sell a little bit, Amazon tests it a little bit more, it sells more, Amazon keeps pushing it up the page because that's how they make money.
Mm-hmm. No, like the organic ranking is big because you want to leverage this, and then once you get organic ranking, you start killing it.
Yeah. Sure. Sponsored manual ads. Okay, so these are used to drive rank or visibility. They're used to scale our winning designs. And we're getting into a system how we set up these things and how we decide what we're going to turn into sponsored manual ads. But realize, I know that some people believe that the way to do KDP ads, or the way to do AMS ads, is to start off immediately with a manual ad and throw a ton of keywords in there and just let it go. That may work if you are doing something like in the fiction space where you're targeting a lot of authors and you're doing a lot of keywords in there. I would argue that my system probably works better because you're allowing the algorithm to do the heavy lifting. It's hard to scale when you're just automatically starting off and doing a ton of keywords and throwing them in there and trying to optimize these ads. So we use sponsored manual ads to basically determine what our, like, figure out what we have as ads that are winners and really scale those up. All right, so this is my shirt in case you guys are wondering. I'm going to use it as an example just because this is something that I've got to have the data. It's easy to show you guys. It's the exact same principles in KDP. So this is a shirt that I made for Valentine's Day. If you notice, it's got 9 customer reviews. You'll also notice that Amazon Choice badge right there for girls' Valentine shirts. Like, that wasn't random chance. That wasn't an accident. That was literally by design. It was something that we planned on and worked on. Just some data for you guys, and to show you what it means when I'm talking about you win on the back end. So we spent $490.85 for advertising here. These were the royalties we had at this point. It's actually a lot more. This was at a point last year. So basically it was like $490 in ads for like $1,390 in profit. So a little bit over $900 in profit there. The majority of this ad spend was spent before we were massively profitable on the shirt. So like, this is what I'm talking about winning on the back end, right? Like, we spent a lot of money to get this thing ranked and to get sales going. And then as we got closer to the holiday, the ad took over, or the organic took over, and suddenly we became massively profitable because most of our sales were coming from organic.
Nice. That's a good screenshot. A lot of people don't understand that neither. Like, I think you probably have to you repeat that over and over and over. They don't get it to like the third or fourth time. Spending money on the back end to help you rank organically will bring you more sales, right?
Yeah. So what that means, guys, and so when we're talking about like winning on the back end, right? So if you notice, like, and we'll get into ACOS and all of that other stuff because I know that we're throwing a lot at you guys. The ACOS here, so this is the average cost, or this is the average cost of sale. This is a ratio based on what you spent versus what your sales price is. So this ACOS is actually probably a little bit high. It's a little bit over break even. And I was totally fine with that because I knew that every time I got a sale, it was only increasing my organic ranking, and I was going to make it back up on the back end. So we will get into ACOS, defining what ACOS is and all of that stuff in a little bit. But I want to go over the system a little bit more. All right. So where do we start? Again, like I said, I'm throwing a lot of information at you guys. This is where we start. Automatic ads. All right. So one of the things that is like one of my biggest pet peeves, it drives me nuts because RJ will still do this on occasion, is grouping your ASINs into a campaign. So grouping all of your ASINs into a single campaign, it conflates data and makes attribution impossible. All right. So this is an example of a Christmas ad that I did last year. just this was me in the middle of like getting ready for Q4. I had some amazing illustrations that my illustrator had done, and we were working heavily on our Etsy business. I didn't have time to spend a whole lot of time on merch, but I had the stuff that he was doing that was really cool. So I threw it all up on merch, and I threw it all in a single campaign. And then I had one shirt that took off, like they went absolutely berserk. And the problem with that is, in this campaign, there's no attribution. It's all Christmas ads. I can't tell what shirt is actually getting me these sales. So all of these search terms that I would love to use to be able to scale things out for a manual ad, it's all mixed together. And some I can see didn't apply to it, but it becomes a real problem when you're trying to figure out exactly which keyword terms you want to scale. And like, for example, here, Christmas shirts for boys, right? Like, I'd love to know which shirt is doing this that I'm paying 26 cents on and I'm getting 3 sales. Like, don't group your ASINs into a single campaign. You want to run one ASIN per one campaign. Okay, so one book per one campaign. Don't throw everything into a single campaign. It's going to make it very difficult to create attribution for your data to be able to create manual ads. It's going to break the system. So here's the launch strategy. One ASIN per one campaign. You're going to run your campaign for 7 to 10 days. You bid high enough to get impressions and clicks. If you had more than 10 clicks on a listing and no sales, kill the campaign. Okay, so we're going to run through this really quickly. One ASIN per one campaign, so one book per one campaign, one book per ad, all right? You're going to run your campaigns for 7 to 10 days. That is a fixed number. Decide whatever you want to do. Some people like to have a little bit more data before they go to go back and check this. I prefer 7, so I prefer it just because it's a weekly term. And this is the thing that I'm talking about with the system, right? Like, when you're running your campaign for 7 days, we're not going into AMS other than just to check our ad spend. We're not going in AMS to do anything else. Like, we're going to go into AMS and see, like, did something go crazy and did it spend a lot of money that we don't want it to necessarily spend? I'm going to do that daily. I'm not going in there to look at the data otherwise, right? If everything is within our key performance indicators, so everything is working as normal, we're not spending a lot more money than we should be, we're just going to leave it alone. Every 7 days, I go back in to optimize this stuff, okay? Bid high enough to get impressions or clicks. So you have to make sure you're bidding enough money so people actually see your stuff. If you're not getting impressions, that means that your bids are too low and nobody's actually seeing your ads. Your ad is stuck on like page 4 or 5 and nobody's going to actually get to it. We want to make sure that our ads are bid high enough to get impressions so people actually see our stuff, so that we can determine if it's something that we want to actually do anything with. We want to make sure that we're getting clicks. If nobody sees our stuff, nobody's going to click on it. This is a general rule at the end here. This is one of those things that I find consistently across different ad platforms. If you've had more than 10 clicks on a listing and no sales, it's typically a pretty good sign that you don't have a winner there. It's a rule of thumb. It's something I've used over and over and over again. People have lots of questions. What about if you have 12 clicks and you have a sale? Like, this is just my metric. This is what I use. But I find it helps to have this in place and have that hard and fast rule as you're going through and trying to scale this stuff out. Because if you're doing this the way that I suggest you do it, you're going to have a lot of ads. You need to make sure you have rules in place. Okay, so we kind of went over this earlier. If you want to get access to the reports, you mouse over to the left side to access your AMS reports. This is what the dashboard looks like. This particular search term report, the sponsored product search term report, this is your best friend. You want to become intimately, God, why am I losing my train of thought right here? You want to become intimately familiar with it. You want to spend a lot of time in it, get used to it. All right, so this is the search term report. If you notice, you will see here, we have a bunch of search terms in here. And then what we also have here too is these weird like letters and numbers thing. Like, this is always the question, right? This right here, and this is a question I know that will come up when you run your AMS ads. This is the ASIN for the item that somebody clicked on your ad from. So somebody is on like an Amazon page, for example, and they're looking at a listing. If they scroll down to the bottom and they see it's sponsored products and they click on your sponsored product ad, that ASIN is where it came from. Okay, and so this becomes useful more for merch than it does for KDP. You can do some targeting now with sponsored product ads for targeting directly on those ASINs. It's more of an advanced topic and I don't really want to get into it. But just understand, like, that's where it's coming from. That's why you're getting these into your search term report. All right. manual ads. This is targeted scaling. Okay. So after 7 days, we're going to go back into our search term report and we are going to see what is actually converted. We're going to see what has actually worked, what has actually converted and gotten us sales. We're going to gather those search term reports, or gather those search terms, and we're going to create a manual campaign with broad and phrase match for all of those terms. All right. So when we get sales, you're going to get an actual term that AMS is going to give you that somebody clicked on to buy with. All right. And sometimes it's not very much. And sometimes it's a little hard to create these right off the bat because, again, it takes time. So if we don't have enough to create this, let the ad run for 7 more days.
The people, there's some questions in there.
I get it, man. Like, but if I don't go through this, right, we're never going to get through it. Like this, like I said, the goal is to throw as much information at people as possible.
Okay, go ahead.
So after 7 days, we're going to create a campaign with broad and phrase match for all of those terms. So that is the way that you create manual matching. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. We're going to bid 20% of above suggested bids for 7 days with the goal of aiming for the top sponsored product ad slot. So the reason that we're doing that, the reason that we're aiming for that top sponsored product ad slot is 70% of the sales will go to that top spot. Like literally like the top 3 spots go, it's like 70, 20, 10%. Like it makes a massive, massive difference in how many clicks, impressions, and sales you get. After 7 days, we're going to go back into our search term report and look for any keyword terms with more than 10 clicks that hasn't converted. See that 10 click rule? We use it again. We're going to shut those off and add to negative targeting. Okay. So any of those keywords that are not converting for us that have gotten a bunch of clicks, we're going to move those into negative targeting. So we're going to eliminate those from our search report or from our ads searching for them. So this is how you get ads to be very, very profitable. We're no longer bidding on terms that we know we're not going to convert on.
Yeah.
Any new terms that have converted, we're going to add into broad or phrase match. So this is how you scale out the ad, right? So we're going to run the ad for a week. We're going to get some sales. We're also going to look at our ad thing and we're going to see, okay, I have this search term here. We bid like $3 on it. It hadn't converted at all. I'm going to add that into negative targeting. Any of the terms that have converted that are new to us that we're going to have new keywords on, we're going to add those into our broad and phrase match and let those do more keyword discovery for us.
That 7 to 10 click rule, guys. Understand that right away.
All right. Ranking strategy. This is like going back to where we went on the back end, right? Like identify the search terms that have the most value. Like you guys should be doing this already. Like this would be the things that you're like trying to target in your titles. Understand that some terms are worth more than others. So for example, seasonal terms, right? Back to school, like be willing to spend more money on that. Be willing to actually go after that term more aggressively because realize if you're ranking really well for back to school or you're ranking really well for composition notebooks for girls, like those are worth a lot more money for you. If in merch terms, right? If you are ranking for Christmas shirts for boys, that is worth a ton of money because there's a ton of search traffic towards those terms. I always try and identify those terms and make sure that I'm bidding on those very aggressively, which is how I got Valentine shirts for girls on that shirt that I showed you guys. All right, so bid to win. This is what I talked about a little bit better. Top overall search result converts 63% better than number 2. That is data from somebody that runs millions and millions of dollars in ads on AMS every single year. It tracks to my data too, though. Like when I actually look at my stuff, it works the exact same way. On mobile, the top sponsored product ad slot shows up first. So the first thing that somebody sees when they're on mobile and they search for something, which is where most of business is going right now. Like most people are buying stuff from their phone. The first thing they see is that top sponsored product ad slot. Okay. We try and aim for that slot. That's the whole goal with what we're trying to do. More sales equals better organic rank, which equals more sales. That flywheel I'm talking about, the virtuous cycle. Okay. You want to bid to win though. Like if you get that top spot, and this is a little counterintuitive and it's a little bit scary the first time you do it, but it works. You want to make it painful for your competitors, okay? Don't be afraid to bid up in that spot and force people to spend a lot more money because what ends up happening is people try to come after you. They try to come after you and get to that spot. And I ran into this a year ago in St. Patrick's Day when my buddy Leek and I were competing for dabbing Leprechaun. And it was really dumb on my part. Like I knew better, but I was like, screw it. I have a really good illustrator. Like I'm going to make a really cool shirt and see what happens. So Leek, if you guys have been around for a while in the merch world, he kind of runs the streets and you'll always notice that like the sponsored product ads for the stuff he's competing for, he's always at the top. So I was like, screw it. Like, how much is it going to take me to take over this spot, right? And I was talking with him a little bit and talking shit. And I was like, all right, so I'm going to bid like $1.25 a click and see what happens. And I still wasn't going into that spot right there. And talking it over with him and everything else, what I realized very quickly is Amazon has two different ways of figuring out how you're going to earn that spot, right? So not only does it matter on what you bid, it also matters what your relevance is. And he was bidding at the time when I was trying to win that spot. He was bidding 42 cents cost per click. I was bidding $1.25, but he was still showing up in that spot because Amazon thought he was more relevant for the search term because he had converted more often.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yep. No, because he converted more. Obviously, they know that, and they got the data behind that, so they're going to actually, his organic rank is still going to be up there.
Yeah. So, all right. So I threw a shit ton of stuff at you guys. All right. Like, I realized that. Like, this is a lot of stuff. Let's go into some questions. Let's go over some of the stuff that we're going to do. And then we'll try and take as many questions as I can. This is probably going to be a little bit of a longer term.
Answer most. I think, honestly, one of the most important things that everybody's asking is the 7 to 10 click rule. Honest, like, it's very simple to run an ad, guys. One of the most, like, it's when you can do like automatic ad. Make sure you have your keywords right, everything, your listings correct, and then like run an automatic ad. And then if it's not making sales within 7 to 10 days, yeah, go ahead and pause it or do whatever you want to do. But you just got to understand that right there, that like the principle. The 7 to 10 days, you got a lot of impressions and no sales. It's not converting. You have over 12 clicks. It's all up to you. See, like, this is another thing too. Like, it depends question too, right? But that's pretty much straightforward. That 7 to 10 days is
have a system. Like, have a system.
Mm-hmm.
Figure out exactly what you're going to do. Set rules for yourself, and then follow the system. This is the system that works for me. This is the system that I teach to my students. And it went a little bit rapid fire because I'm trying to throw so much information at you guys. Like, we definitely go over this a little bit slower when I'm actually teaching people one-on-one. But I want to give you guys, like I said, as much information as possible. Two things I didn't cover, and again, like I said, I was trying to throw as much as possible at you guys. You guys are going to have, if you follow this system, you guys are going to have a lot of ads. One of the most important things that you can do is come up with a naming convention, come up with a way that you name your ads to help identify the stuff, especially because if you're running ads within the same niche, you may have titles that are very similar. So if you're just depending on titles, sometimes it's difficult to determine what ad goes to what book. Mm-hmm. Typically, I try to include the ASIN with every single name that I'm creating. So like if I'm going in here and I'm going to name my campaign, like I'll include whatever the ASIN is for the book along with whatever the niche is. So like ASIN, random B0.
Valentine's Day.
And then it's like Valentine's. And then I'm going to include the date that I started the ad. So I can kind of determine where it is. So, today would be 8/20.
Good question.
2019. In terms of like daily budget, when we're doing automatic ads, so we start very, very small. Like we're testing things at scale. We're going to start our budgets at like $2 to $3 a day. I'm typically going to do like bids. This is the other question we're going to get a lot. For automatic targeting, dynamic bids down only. Like this will result in you spending a lot more money. If any of you guys are members of the Top Secret Research Group, Burke Tufanda, who is actually an analyst in his day job, like he actually broke it down in the AMS section the other day. Like he tested this. Dynamic bid down only resulted in like a 30% lower cost per click. A lot more efficient. They ended up spending a lot less money, and he had better conversion rates.
That's crazy. Okay, here's the question. After the auto campaign, after 7 days, when you start, or do you stop the auto campaign after 7 days when you start the manual campaign?
No, you don't. So after 7 days, when you start that manual campaign, what we're going to do is we're going to allow that automatic campaign to run in the background. We're just going to lower down our bids a lot. So this is something that Brian Johnson talks about. If any of you guys are in the FBA world, you probably know who he is. He's the one that kind of popularized this strategy, which is called panning for gold. So you drop our bids down way, way low. So instead of being at 25 cents cost per click, we're going to drop that bid down to like 10 cents cost per click. And what it ends up doing is it ends up doing like keyword discovery for you at a really, really low cost. And because it's at such a low cost and nobody's bidding against these keyword terms, they actually end up becoming massively, massively profitable.
There's a few questions in here about having like the slides. Will they have them later?
I don't know.
There's 2 of them in here. Can we download these flashcards, please?
All right. Let's go through the questions really quickly. I do have something.
I answered pretty much most of them already.
Okay. Yeah. I do have something to offer you guys after this that I think will help some of you. That I think is kind of a win-win. So,
do you shut up? Where'd it go? Never mind. Where'd it go?
I will, if the chat file downloads properly, I will share the chat file.
Clarify on the bid down only. You only using that right now?
Yeah, dynamic bid down only. That's the only one that I do.
Okay. Boom.
Cover that. Cover that. Steve's question here is good. Specific to KDP, to use more of the ad with the text we can put in versus a normal ad. It's a bit like a small headline ad. Yes, 100%. So one of the things I do really like about KDP is you have the ability to do this right here, custom text ad. You have the ability to actually use some marketing language to sell your book, right? So you have the ability to put a small line in there that talks about the unique selling proposition that your book has, what makes it special, what makes it unique, why they should buy that. 100% do that every single time. It's easier to do this. Like, it's just to click the standard ad, but like you should spend a little bit of time on this and think about what you can use to help sell your stuff.
All right. So it's like, there's a question here about starting, depending on the niche, you start your bid at 25 cents. I think you cover that, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, so when it comes to like automatic ads, like 25 cents is kind of like the default that I have when it comes to KDP. It's gonna depend on the niche. Like, this is testing. This is where we come back to the idea that like we want to bid enough to get impressions or clicks. If after 7 days you have gotten like 10 impressions and no clicks at all, then you're probably gonna have to increase your bid a little bit. You just have to test that stuff out. It also can be related to like if your keywords are very poor in the back end, that can be related to not getting enough impressions, not getting enough clicks. Nurgus, so if you have 500 books uploaded, which and how many books do you run ads for at a time? Do you mean $2 to $3 per book per day? How many days at a time? Like, so days at a time we've covered. If I have 500 books up, like my system involves us running ads to everything. Okay. That means I'm running ads to everything. This is not necessarily something that you guys have to adopt and do right away. By all means, I mean, this is something that both RJ and I talk about a lot. And this is why I actually don't do a lot of talking about AMS in public, because I don't want people coming back to me and saying, I spent so much money because I did this and you told me to do this. Like, start slow, start small, and test. Like, you don't have to do all of this stuff all at once, but I wanted to give you an overview in terms of what I've done and I've had success with. Okay, Tracy's question here, is it okay to run Christmas-specific product ads now, or more beneficial to wait until people are in holiday shopping mode? So my rule is typically 90 days out. I may default to something a little bit earlier than that if Google Trends shows me that people are starting to search for that stuff earlier. Mm-hmm. The thing with AMS, and I haven't tested Christmas specific ads with AMS, but for Kindle, they do go through a review period. They have to get approved. And I know on the merch side, that they have very specific timelines for when you can do holiday specific ads. And this is something that drove me absolutely bonkers when I was doing product display ads and headline search ads really heavily for merch, because they won't allow you to run those ads until like 3 to 4 weeks prior to the event, which is really dumb because people are searching for that stuff way, way sooner than that. But just be aware of that. Like, it could result in your ad not getting approved if you're running something, out too early that says Christmas specifically.
I think honestly, like if you're starting to design for it, like just start up, like, you know what I mean, put ads up for it right away. And then also too, the sooner, like almost like it's the sooner the better, because you get that head start, and then you start ranking, you know what I mean, for that niche. And you have a better chance getting ahead of the competition.
Yeah.
Not sure. As ever to show you run through the steps. I will make that later on.
Yeah.
Is there a video? So there's a video how to run through the steps. I'll actually make a video on that a little bit later on for you guys.
All right.
Kind of get into that.
For sure. Yes, Andrew's asking, are ads ever not approved? Yes, ads are not approved. You have to make sure that you're structuring your ads in the right way, that you're not saying that, like, this is the best book you could ever possibly buy. KDP, like, doesn't want you making claims that you can't substantiate. Mary, can the next challenge be an AMS challenge? Probably not. Like, it's so niche, and like, I did a decent amount of coaching for like probably about 3 months, and like, I enjoyed it because it's a topic that I really enjoy. Like, I like marketing and I like advertising, but the thing with this and the why I cover principles is it's so specific to everybody's account. So like, the principle side applies to everybody, but there are so many variables between not just the science between AMS and the system, but also the creative, right? Like, how good the product is that you create. And so it's just difficult to do it in like a group setting.
Yeah, like if your design sucks, like you won't make sales.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah, there's like it's like a hand, like it plays two different parts, and you can't tell a person like, "Hey, this thing sucks," because that's why it's not making sales.
Yeah. So, Tara, I hate that holiday timeline rule, especially since they weren't consistent. I saw competitors running Halloween ads way before mine got approved last year for merch. That is okay. So I'm going to cover something here. This is very gray hat, so like, be aware this is not something that is approved by Amazon, and it could get you in trouble. But I've tested it; it does work. If you want to run ads for a holiday thing, and you're running into that deadline, take your shirt or product or whatever it is and dumb down the keywords. Like, remove the holiday keywords that apply to it. Make sure that, like, you don't have St. Patrick's Day or Christmas or Halloween on the shirt. You shouldn't have that anyways, because you want it to sell year round. But take those keywords out, create the ad, and then change your keywords in the back end. And once the ad is approved, they're never going to go back in and check it again. And then the ad will get approved and you can go through and run it. I've tested that. It works. Be aware. Like I said, it's very gray hat. This is not approved. It could get you in trouble, but it does work.
Yeah, so basically, what you guys are doing when you're running an ad, you're paying for the data. Okay, one more time. You guys are paying for the data. When you pay for the data, Amazon gives you keywords, and then if it converts on the back end of the reports, it'll give you information, and it'll show you what keyword converted. Okay, so you're paying for the data, and once you get the information, your ad starts converting, you'll get the information in the back end. And then even if you don't make a sale, it'll still give you information on the back end. From when I've been testing with KDP, like, it seems like it's a little bit slower than merch for some reason. Mm-hmm. Like this dashboard on the back end, like, I don't know, it seems like a bigger delay. Like, it's like 4 to 5 days. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So
I mean, it could be related to just the way that, like, think about it. Like, we don't get credit for those sales until the book prints.
Yeah,
it's probably related to that.
Yeah.
So Steve touches on something here, and Steve runs ads for FBA sellers. So like, he has a lot of experience with this, but he's like, you could do a link with yesterday's webinar. If you're going to go back to a niche and you know the keywords, you can start the manual out of the gate because you have the data already. That's true. So like, in my system, right after you run this and you have that keyword data for one manual ad, and it's within a niche that you already know, you don't necessarily have to go through the automatic step. You can actually create that manual ad right away after you validated the data and you have that keyword data. Dwight, to get data, you just need impressions if you made no sales. You don't get data for what people are searching for unless somebody actually clicks on your ad. So impressions do not give you any data. All it means is people have seen your stuff. It doesn't mean that they're clicking on things. So generally, if you're getting a lot of impressions but you're getting no clicks, It either means that your targeting is bad, so your keywords are bad, the wrong people are seeing it, or it means that your cover is not appealing or your shirt is not appealing, and it's just not something that people are interested
in. What's the break? It was something we have to figure out too, like the break. We haven't got into that yet, guys. But the break even percentage. Books. Yeah,
it's just math.
Yeah, gotta figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, all right, I'll put together some stuff for you guys just in terms of, I should have covered that and I did a poor job over it, so I apologize. Maybe I should do a short little video just explaining some like the dashboard and what the different terms mean. So
I got you right there. I got you right there, Doc.
I don't know if I can depend on you to do math though. That's the only
I love math.
I'll do a video later today. I do have to go take care of my day job in a little bit. I'll do a video later today going over like what some of the basic terms are, what ACOS is, break even, that kind of stuff. Because I realized I kind of glossed over it pretty quickly as I was trying to get through everything. So I will include that. All right, let me stop my share.
Okay. No, that was good. Good information. A lot of good stuff in there. You guys remember, just follow the rule, follow the system that Matt put in place. Or even if you want, you say you don't like 7 to 10 days. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Let's say you want to do 10 to 13 or 10 to 13 days. You know what I mean? That's all depends on you. But 7 to 10 seems to be a really good spot because the week, you know what I mean? You're given almost a week and a half. And
so yeah. All right. What RJ's talking about is have a system in place. I'm going to make a little offer to you guys related to this. And because I know it's a lot of information, my wife's birthday is tomorrow, Wednesday, the 21st. Mm-hmm. And she is running a charity for a friend of ours. She's running donations for a charity for a friend of ours that is related to Halloween. So our friend runs this charity called Smiling Pumpkins. They donate Halloween costumes to kids in low-income areas that don't have the ability to buy their own costumes. We've taken part in it for the last 5 years. It's a really cool thing. I'll actually share some of it on my social. These are children whose their parents are struggling. They don't have money. And so it's a big deal for them to be able to have a good Halloween costume. It's not a sheet, some holes cut in it. They get to be Iron Man for Halloween. Yeah, it's dope.
That's pretty cool.
Seeing the look on their face is they get the costume that they get to be cool for a day, right? They don't have to worry about money. They get to go out with their friends and not have to struggle with that. So get a little emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so anyways.
Yeah.
If you guys are interested in a recording of this right here, I will also include the recording of the AMS webinar that we did for the last challenge. Mm-hmm. If you guys make a donation to that charity, to my wife's thing, and then send me a screenshot, you can send it to my email. You can send it to merchelephant@gmail.com. Send a screenshot, make a donation of $15 or more to that charity. I'll include a link to I will include a link to where you guys can make the donation in the group. Send me a screenshot of that. I will send you guys a Dropbox link where you guys can download. Amy, I got you. You're good. But yeah, go ahead and donate $15 or more. It's going to a really good cause. More importantly, it's going to a good cause. They're amazing kids. It's a lot of fun. You get to feel good about yourself. It's also a tax write-off at the end of the year. So you guys need as many of those as you can possibly get. And you guys get this information going forward. I'll also include a link to the actual slides that I've showed here, so you guys can review the slides as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so okay. I'll put that all in the post, guys. I will share where you guys can donate, and then I will also include my email and everything else. So just kind of a win-win.
All right. Anything I can help out too, I'll help out too with anything. I'll share it on my social too as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and that is it.
That's it, guys. So thank you for joining us. We will try and answer as many questions as possible. RJ's going to do a video. I'm going to do a video. I know it's a lot of information for you guys, but I want to get you guys as many things to have success as possible. So I'll share that once I get off the call here. The replay for this will probably not go up until this afternoon, just because it's got a process on my end. But we'll get it up as soon as possible.
Yep, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment. I'll make a video a little bit later on too.
Sorry. Action items. I do have action items. Hold on. Let me pull them up. Yeah, we always forget that. All right. Beginners. Get your KDP AMS account set up. For some of you, this may be more of an adventure than others, just because I know sometimes people have an issue if they have a merch KDP account and a merch AMS account and a KDP AMS account. Sometimes it gets a little mixed up. So get your KDP AMS account set up, add your credit card payment info, and launch your first ad. Advanced, if you've been running KDP, I want you to go into the reporting and identify your winners and losers. You should be doing this already, but like conscientiously pay attention to this stuff and look and see where you're spending too much money. Look and see where those ads are not performing within what your target ACOS is. Look for ads that you can scale with a manual ad and set up your first manual ad.
Yeah. Also, to beginners, when you come in here, don't go crazy with your bid. Start low. You know what I mean? Don't be going in here with a dollar bid because you're gonna get your ass kicked. All right, and that's just the truth.
Yep.
Start 25 cents. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So thank you guys. I'm going to end it right here, and I will get that posted in the group.